3 financial moves I wish I made before turning 30. You're sitting there at 32, maybe 35, scrolling through your bank account at 2 a.m., and there's this weird feeling in your chest. Not panic exactly, but something close. A quiet voice asking, "Where did all those years go? Why does it feel like I'm still starting from zero?" And here's the thing nobody tells you when you're 25. Time doesn't feel real until it's gone. You think you have forever to figure this money thing out, that there's some magical age when everything clicks, when you'll suddenly earn more, save more, stress less. But that age never comes, not on its own. What does come is 30, then 35, then 40. And if you haven't made certain moves by then, you're not just behind, you're rebuilding from scratch while everyone else is compounding. I'm not saying this to scare you.
I'm saying it because I lived it. Here's what's really happening. Your 20s aren't a dress rehearsal. They're the opening act of the only financial life you'll ever get. And the decisions you make or avoid before 30 will either give you options in your 30s and 40s, or they'll corner you into choices you never wanted to make. So let me walk you through the 3 financial moves I wish someone had shaken me by the shoulders and forced me to understand at 25. Not get-rich-quick moves, not crypto gambling or side hustle hype, but actual life-altering financial decisions that separate people who build wealth early from people who spend their 30s catching up. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your 20s are the most valuable decade you'll ever own, and how compound interest rewards early action more than any other factor. The exact system wealthy people use to protect themselves before they chase growth, and why most people do this backwards. How to rewire your brain to stop stealing from your future self every time you say yes to something expensive today. And here's the part that might surprise you. None of this requires you to earn 6 figures. It doesn't require a trust fund or perfect credit or rich parents. It just requires clarity and the willingness to act on it. I'm James, and I've spent far too much time breaking down how the rich actually think and what they do differently that no one ever teaches you.
So let's get into it. Move number 1. Treat your 20s like an investment, not a rehearsal. Let me start with the lie we all believed. You're 23, 25, maybe 28. You're working your first real job, finally making decent money, and everyone around you is spending. New car, nice apartment, weekend trips, brunch every Sunday. And you think, I'm young, I deserve to enjoy this. I'll start saving when I'm older, when I make more. That sentence right there, that's the most expensive mistake you'll ever make. Because here's what nobody explains when you're in your 20s. Every single year you delay is a year you can never get back. Not because time is linear, but because money grows exponentially. And exponential growth rewards one thing above everything else: time. Let me show you what I mean. Let's say you're 25 years old. You decide to invest $200 a month. Just $200. That's less than most people spend on coffee, DoorDash, and random Amazon purchases.
You do this consistently, averaging a 7% annual return until you're 60. By the time you retire, you'll have around $525,000. Now, let's say you wait. You say, I'll start at 30. I'll be more stable then. I'll have my life together. So at 30, you start investing the exact same amount, $200 a month, same 7% return, same discipline. By 60, you'll have around $365,000. That 5-year delay, it cost you $160,000. But here's the part that really stings. If you'd started at 25 and stopped at 35, just 10 years of investing, you'd still end up with $338,000 by 60, even if you never added another dollar, because those early contributions had 35 years to compound. Meanwhile, the person who started at 35 and invested until 60, 25 years of discipline, would only have $245,000. 10 years of early action beats 25 years of late action. That's not motivation. That's math. So why don't people do this? Because your 20s don't feel important. They feel like a warm-up,
a time to figure things out before real life starts. But that's the illusion. Real life is already happening. Every month you're not investing is a month you're choosing to be poorer at 60. And I get it. When you're 25, 60 feels like a different planet. It feels abstract, irrelevant. But here's the shift that changed everything for me. I stopped thinking about my future self as a stranger. I started thinking about him as someone I owed. Every time I was about to blow $200 on something I didn't need, I'd ask, am I stealing this from the version of me who's 45 and wants to quit his job? Or 55 and wants to retire early? And suddenly, it wasn't about deprivation. It was about fairness. Your future self is going to exist whether you help him or not. The question is, are you going to make his life easier, or are you going to make him clean up the mess you're leaving behind? Here's how to actually do this. Step 1. Open a Roth IRA or a brokerage account. Today. Not soon, not when I have more money. Today. Step 2. Automate $50, $100, $200, whatever you can manage every single month. Treat it like rent, non-negotiable. Step 3. Invest in a simple index fund. S&P 500, total stock market, nothing fancy, just consistent, boring growth. That's it. No stock picking, no crypto FOMO, no waiting for the right time. Just automated, invisible progress that built wealth while you sleep. Because here's the truth. The best time to start was 5 years ago. The second best time is today. And every month you wait is a month your future self will resent you for. Your 20s aren't a rehearsal. They're the foundation. And what you build now will determine whether your 30s feel like freedom or damage control. If this is making you rethink how you've been treating your money, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Because every week I break down the financial systems the rich use in plain English with no hype. And if you don't want to spend your 30s playing catch-up, you need to understand how this game actually works. So subscribe now and let's keep going. Move number 2. Build your FU fund before your dream fund. All right, let's talk about the second move, and this one's uncomfortable. You're 27, you've got a job. Maybe it's okay, maybe it's terrible, but you need it because rent is due, student loans are due, car payments due. And the idea of saying no to your boss or walking away from a toxic workplace feels impossible. Not because you love the job, but because you're one paycheck away from disaster. And that feeling, that low-level anxiety that hums in the background of every decision you make, that's not financial stress. That's financial captivity. Most people think the goal is to save for a house, a wedding, a dream vacation. And sure, those things matter, but before you save for any dream, you need to save for something more important, your ability to say no. That's what an emergency fund really is. It's not about preparing for a car breakdown or a medical bill. It's about buying yourself freedom. The freedom to walk away from a bad job. The freedom to negotiate your salary without desperation. The freedom to take a risk because you're not afraid of falling. I call it the FU fund. Because that's what it gives you. The power to look at a situation that's draining you and say, I don't need this anymore. Here's what changes when you have 6 to 12 months of living expenses saved. You stop tolerating disrespect at work. You stop saying yes to projects that underpay you. You stop living in fight or flight mode, constantly scanning for the next disaster. And weirdly, once you're not desperate, people treat you differently. Employers take you more seriously. Negotiations go better. Opportunities show up. Not because you got luckier, but because desperation has a smell, and confidence does too. I learned this the hard way. At 29, I was in a job I hated. The pay was okay, but the environment was toxic. My boss was a micromanager. My coworkers were burned out. And every Sunday night, I'd get this pit in my stomach knowing I had to go back Monday morning. But I couldn't leave. Because I had $1,200 in savings, $30,000 in student loans, and rent that ate half my paycheck. I was trapped, not by the job itself, but by my lack of options. It took me 2 years to build a 6-month emergency fund. 2 years of living below my means, saying no to dinners I didn't need, skipping vacations I couldn't afford. And the day I hit that number, the day my savings account showed 6 months of rent, food, and bills covered, something shifted. I didn't quit immediately, but I started acting like someone who could. I pushed back on unreasonable requests. I applied to better jobs. I stopped absorbing other people's chaos. And within 4 months, I left for a role that paid 30% more. Not because I suddenly got better at my job, but because I stopped negotiating from a place of fear. Here's how to build your FU fund. Step 1. Calculate your bare minimum monthly expenses. Rent, utilities, food, insurance, debt payments. Not your lifestyle expenses, your survival expenses. Step 2. Multiply that number by 6. That's your target. Step 3. Open a separate high-yield savings account. Do not connect it to your debit card. Do not touch it unless it's an actual emergency. Step 4. Automate deposits. Start with $100, $200, $300 a month. Whatever doesn't break you. Even $50 is progress. It's going to take time, maybe a year, maybe 2. But here's what I want you to understand. This fund isn't about fear. It's about power. Because once you have it, you stop making decisions out of panic. You stop staying in situations that are killing you slowly. You start living like someone who has options, because you do. And that shift from captive to free is worth more than any car, any vacation, any fleeting thrill you're tempted to buy instead. Your dream fund can wait. Your freedom can't. If you're realizing you've been prioritizing the wrong things, you're not alone. That's why this channel exists, to help you see the systems that actually build wealth, not just the ones that look good on Instagram. So if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because the next move I'm about to show you is the one most people get backwards their entire lives. Let's keep going. Move number 3. Learn to say no to your future broke self. Okay, last move. And this one's gonna sting a little. You're in your 20s, you just got a raise, or a bonus, or maybe you've been working for a couple years and you finally feel like you can breathe. And someone around you, a friend, a coworker, maybe even a family member, upgrades their life. New car, bigger apartment, designer clothes, weekend trips to Miami, and suddenly your life feels small, boring, like you're falling behind. So you start thinking, I work hard, I deserve this, life's short. Why shouldn't I enjoy it? And that logic, that makes perfect sense. Until you're 35, still paying off the car you bought at 27, still recovering from the credit card debt you racked up trying to keep up with people who weren't even thinking about you. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Every time you say yes to something expensive today, you're saying no to your future self. Every single time. That's not guilt, that's math. Because money isn't infinite, and every dollar you spend on one thing is a dollar you can't spend or invest in something else. Let me give you an example. You're 26. You decide to finance a $35,000 car. You put $3,000 down, finance the rest at 6% interest over 5 years. Your monthly payment is $620. Over those 5 years, you'll pay $40,200 total for that car. But here's what nobody tells you. If you'd bought a $15,000 used car instead and invested that $620 monthly payment, you'd have $44,000 in 5 years, assuming a 7% return. That one decision, new car versus used car, didn't just cost you $25,000. It cost you the future version of yourself who could have used that $44,000 to take a year off work, or start a business, or never worry about an emergency again. And the worst part, 5 years later, that $35,000 car is worth maybe $18,000. Meanwhile, that $44,000 investment would still be growing, compounding, working for you while you sleep. This is what opportunity cost really means. Not just what did I spend, but what did I lose by not choosing the other path? And I'm not saying don't buy things. I'm not saying live like a monk and eat ramen for a decade. I'm saying be honest about what you're trading. Because that car, it's not just $620 a month, it's $620 a month that could have been freedom. That designer jacket, it's not just $800, it's $800 that could have been invested and turned into $2,000 in 10 years. That trip you put on a credit card, it's not just $3,000. It's $3,000 plus 18% interest that you'll be paying off for the next 2 years, while missing out on what that money could have grown into. I learned this at 28 when I financed the car I didn't need. Beautiful car, loved it, made me feel successful. But every month when that payment hit, I felt it. Not just the $580 leaving my account, but the weight of knowing I'd locked myself into 5 years of payments for something that was losing value every single day. And by the time I paid it off, I was 33, and I realized I had spent 5 years paying for a status symbol that nobody cared about, while missing out on 5 years of compound growth that could have changed my life. So here's the system I wish I'd followed. The 48-hour rule. Before you buy anything over $200, wait 48 hours. No exceptions. Write down why you want it. Then come back in 2 days. If it still makes sense, if it's truly worth the opportunity cost, buy it. But most of the time, the urge will pass. And you'll realize you are about to trade your future for something you didn't even really want. The 10-year question. Before you finance anything, ask yourself, would I rather have this thing now or have financial freedom 10 years sooner? Because that's the trade. Every car payment, every credit card balance, every finance purchase is a vote for I want this now over I want peace later. The lifestyle lock. As your income increases, resist the urge to increase your spending at the same rate. If you get a $10,000 raise, invest $7,000 of it. Live on the other $3,000. Because lifestyle inflation is silent, automatic, and irreversible. Once you upgrade, you never downgrade. You just get stuck. Look, I'm not here to shame you for wanting nice things. I'm here to tell you the truth. The most expensive thing you'll ever buy is the approval of people who don't care about you. Your coworker who bought the new car, he's not thinking about you. Your friend who's always traveling, she's not comparing her life to yours. The only person keeping score is you, and you're playing a game you can't win because the finish line keeps moving. But here's what doesn't move: compound interest, financial security, the ability to say no to things that drain you. That stuff is permanent. That stuff builds. And the earlier you prioritize it, the faster you get to stop worrying about money altogether. So the next time you're about to say yes to something expensive, pause and ask your future self, is this worth it, or am I stealing from you to impress strangers? Because every no today is a yes to the life you actually want tomorrow. If you're starting to see how many small decisions you've been making that quietly destroyed your future, you're exactly where you need to be. That awareness is the first step. The second step is subscribing to this channel, because I release a new breakdown every week that helps you reprogram how you think about money. So hit that button now and let's finish strong. Reflection. What this all really means. All right, let's bring this home. These 3 moves, treating your 20s like an investment, building your FU fund, and learning to say no to your future broke self, they're not just about money, they're about identity. Because here's what I've learned after watching hundreds of people try to build wealth. The money part is easy. You automate deposits, you invest in index funds, you avoid stupid debt. That's not complicated. What's hard is becoming the kind of person who does those things, the kind of person who chooses delayed gratification over instant relief, who prioritizes invisible progress over visible status, who values freedom more than approval.
And that transformation doesn't happen at 30 or 40.
Or when you finally have money. It happens in your 20s, or it doesn't happen at all. Because by 30, your patterns are set, your habits are hardened, your identity is locked in. And if you spent your 20s acting like someone who'll figure it out later, that's who you'll be at 35, and 45, and 55. But if you spent your 20s acting like someone who takes money seriously, even when no one's watching, even when it's uncomfortable, even when your friends think you're boring, then by 30, you're not catching up, you're compounding. And that's the part most people miss. Wealth isn't about how much you earn. It's about who you become while earning it. The person who can delay gratification. The person who says no without guilt. The person who doesn't need external validation to feel successful. That person doesn't just build wealth. That person builds peace, confidence, options.
A life where money stops being the loudest voice in the room. And the beautiful part? You don't need a trust fund to become that person. You don't need perfect parents or lucky breaks or a high-paying job. You just need to start today with $50, with one automated deposit, with one hard no to something you can't afford. Because progress doesn't require perfection. It just requires direction. And every small decision you make in your 20s is either moving you toward freedom or away from it. There's no neutral. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one of these 3 moves, just one, and commit to it for the next 90 days. Automate $100 a month into an investment account. Start building your 6-month emergency fund. Say no to one finance purchase and invest that monthly payment instead. Just one move. That's all it takes to shift the trajectory. Because your 30s don't have to be about regret. They can be about momentum.
About looking back at your 27-year-old self and thinking, thank God I started when I did. You don't need a time machine. You just need to start now, 1 mile at a time. If this video helped you see money differently, do 2 things for me. First, subscribe to this channel, because every week I'm breaking down the exact strategies that separate people who build wealth from people who just talk about it. And second, watch the video that's about to pop up on your screen. It's the natural next step after this one. So subscribe, click that video, and let's keep building, because financial freedom isn't a destination, it's a decision, and you just made it. I'm James, and remember, you're not behind, you're just on a different mile.